And welcome back to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Otto Lose and Kristina Liu, and of course, Dan Cox. We just had a great guest on, Kais CU, and she is a registered dietitian and is with Cornell Cooperative Extension of Nassau County. And we just got a whole bunch of information on deciphering food claims and nutrition labels versus food packaging, just a lot of information. And just an important thing we did talk about, if you yourself want to speak with a registered dietitian or a nutritionist, check with your primary care doctor, because she said, most of them do work with dietitians and nutritionists, and they could be on your plan, because everybody's very specific, whether it's diabetes or cholesterol or you need low sodium. So there's a lot of different things. So that was great. Kristina, of course, another wonderful guest. But right now we have Councilwoman Veronica Lurvey. She's District 4 in North Hempstead. And we're just happy that you're joining us. I know you're going to be here for a segment, and we just want to get right down to some of the things that you're working on and just are wonderful. And let's just get right into it. Can you tell us a little bit about the Organics Management Plan?
Oh, absolutely. That is one of my favorite things to talk about, and it is so fitting to talk about the Organics Management Plan right after we had the wonderful guest, Kai, right before me. So thank you for bringing that up. And first of all, I want to quickly thank Kristina, Otto, and Dan also, Rebecca, for inviting me here and for putting all of the effort that you put into your show each and every week. So thank you. Organics Management Plan. What exactly is that? Well, it's a plan that was adopted by the town board on December 15th. And the plan aims to reduce the flow of wasted food and reduce greenhouse gas emissions at the same time, while also helping to feed the hungry as an added benefit. So we have 3 different positives from one plan, and that's why it's so exciting. The way it does it, it has 3 core areas. It's about prevention strategies related to reducing the amount of wasted food. And those include smart shopping, smart storage, and repurposing food. Very interesting.
Yeah.
What is repurposing food like, basically? What do you mean?
Well, it means like maybe you bought something to make a stew, and then you didn't make the stew. So then the next day you look and you say, what am I going to eat? And you use that food for a different dish. Because so often we have a plan in our minds, and we have a certain, plan for the week. I'm going to cook this, this, and this. And we're not able to adjust. We're not able to look into the fridge and say, hey, I have carrots and I have, lettuce. I'm going to make something different than what I originally planned.
It's so true. I'm thinking about that, like what's in my fridge and what I'm planning to make. And it's like, well, if I don't get home in time, what am I'll put it in the freezer but yeah, like don't look at it as only for that one purpose, because you can maybe, if I was going to make a meatloaf, maybe I could make a meatball, I could freeze it. There's so many different things to look at, and maybe shop that way too, with that in mind.
Yes, that is really important. I mean, when you go out shopping, and this is very important. And this is I know that this is an issue that people like my mom struggle with, right? She's alone. She cooks only for herself.
Right.
When she goes out shopping, she often still buys as if she were cooking for the whole family. Right?
Right.
She doesn't, it's hard too, because she'll go to the store and there'll be a bag of potatoes. And so she'll grab that bag of potatoes. But I think it's much better if the store makes it available for you to buy 1 or 2 potatoes at a time. right? She's
Right.
always struggling with that. She's always
Right.
telling me, I made a whole bunch of some dish and now I have to eat it for 4 days. So then we talk about how to store it properly, right? There's many dishes that you can freeze. There's many dishes that you can keep in the refrigerator for a while and eat them over time.
You know,
Right.
it's an interesting thing because that's true. Well, I got my technical problem here, but it's true even for people, if you're only going for two people, when you go to a store, most of these things are packaged in such a way that
Right.
you can't get, okay, you can't get a small package. And like if you go to a place that has loose potatoes, you can get loose potatoes, but you have to get a family pack of chopped meat. You can't get a little pack of chopped
Right.
meat. So maybe, you know, that we ought to find stores that focus on small packaging.
Yeah.
It's-
I mean, that's actually in the grocery that my mom goes to. They take apart the bags of potatoes when there's one bad potato in there, and then they sell the rest of them loose, and they sell them for cheaper at a discount. And she says that works in, on two levels. First of all, she doesn't have to buy so much, and she gets it for cheaper. So that's one potential solution. But I want to go back to the repurposing of food. Here's one example. Say you make a chicken breast with broccoli and rice one night. You have leftovers. You can make a stir-fried chicken rice the next night. That is like the epitome of the repurposing of food.
Purpose stuff.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of time with you today. So I also wanted to mention that there is also a web page that people can go to. Can they get to the web page dedicated for regarding food waste through the Town of North Hempstead site? Or
yes, absolutely. And it provides visitors with an inventory of local food banks, because that's another thing, right? If
Right.
you have excess food, you can always donate
Right.
it to local food banks. There's a huge need out there right now. And food banks are desperate for donations. So please remind them. And the Town of North Hempstead website, northhempsteadny.gov, you can find the information about local food banks there, including their hours, how to contact them, and all of that. And the website also has helpful tips and resources. It also talks about our food waste-free Fridays at the Town of North Hempstead.
so do talk about that. I like that. And today's Friday. So what
It
should
is
we be
Friday.
doing?
So what we should be doing is only, taking with us for lunch as much food as we can eat, only buying as much food as we can eat at one sitting, or having containers to take it home.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. And we'll be sharing, go to the Town of North Hempstead website, or to the social media pages also. And we'll be sharing tips about Food Waste Fridays, how to reduce your food waste every Friday.
That's great.
So I'm sorry, but one area with the food part of it is restaurants. Sometimes you go to a restaurant and you eat for 10, 15 minutes and you feel like you didn't eat yet because the plate is still looks like it just got there. They overfill the plate, if you will.
Yes.
So there's two things there, as I see it. One is to tell the restaurant not to make the portion so big, but the other one is to take the portions that are left over home and actually use them, as opposed to having them be thrown out.
That's right, Otto, you're absolutely right. And there's actually a new New York state law that went into effect in 2022 that requires that businesses and institutions that generate a certain amount of food scraps per week, they have to comply with donation requirements or donate and compost.
Okay.
So you were talking about the food that is on your plate. I'm talking about the food that goes back into the kitchen or that was cooked in the kitchen and doesn't actually even make it out to the customer, or food that goes bad in the kitchen's refrigerators, right? They have to now donate or recycle that food, depending on if it's still good or not, obviously.
Is that in the town of North Hempstead, or is it like all over where that has to?
That's all of New York State.
All of New York State. Wow.
That is all of you. Isn't that great?
That's really good. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really good to know. Because I mean, how many times in years past do you feel guilty when you see restaurants or even catering halls, things like that, that just toss food, whether it's bad or just, maybe it's been on a plate and they haven't used it.
Yep.
So yeah, that's great to know.
Catering halls is a beautiful example. You go to a wedding, you have a happy hour, you eat all kinds of food before the happy hour. At 10:30, the dinner shows up, but you really don't want to eat. So they must have tremendous amounts of food waste in the back room, if you will. And if places like that can limit what just goes into the dump, if you will,
Yeah.
that would be a big step forward for sure.
Absolutely, 100%. I know my temple has a connection with the local group home, and when they have an event that generates extra food, they always deliver it there. And I know the residents of that group home are very receptive and grateful for that. Yeah.
And composting is such a huge topic, because I know I actually, I don't do it. I don't have a lot of time, but there's so many times in my head, is there a way, because I don't have a garden that I've started at home or anything like that. Can you like donate compost food? I mean, I don't even know if there's a way to do that.
Well, I don't know specifically. I know that the Science Museum of Long Island might have a compost project where you can drop off composting.
Oh, that's a good suggestion.
But maybe that's something that we can look into and also add to our Climate Smart Communities page on our Town of North Hempstead website. I think that would be really good. The town does provide, for those who do have a garden, composters and rain barrels at a discounted fee. But you raise a really good point, Rebecca. What if people don't have the garden, don't have that space? I like that idea.
All right. You heard it here first. I just want to, put that out there, because I always feel a little, of course, guilty throwing out food, knowing that it can be used for something greater. So yeah, that might be something interesting. Maybe if a third recycle bin to put out there, another way to kind of, put collections out.
Well, eventually, I hope that commercial composting services will be available in the town of North Hempstead.
That would be.
We're a little ways, away from that at this point, but I know that there are discussions, and I know that the town is involved in planning for that eventuality. So, just have to keep on working towards that goal.
Yeah. And I love that today's St. Patrick's Day, and we're, this is green. You can't tell my earrings are green. Everyone has green. It's a little off on the screen, but another thing that you've kind of been working on, and I want to hear, because it was something that was very important to you from your first day in office, and that was the tree committee. So could you tell us a little bit about that, and I guess relaunching the North Hempstead's Tree Advisory Committee?
Yeah, that was quite the accomplishment, I have to say. We have some residents who are very knowledgeable about trees, tree maintenance, tree selection, tree care, all of that. They have been appointed to a tree advisory committee, and we meet once every few months to discuss changes to town policy and legislation related to maintenance of trees. The goal here has always been to beautify our neighborhoods, but it also, in addition to the beauty that the trees provide, to do the right environmental thing. So growing the tree canopy, you are so right, Rebecca, has been important to me since my first day in office.
And we have so many also beautiful parks in North Hempstead, and, Clark Gardens. You can have tours there too. And, we have very knowledgeable staff over at the garden. So it's really great. All these things that you're doing. And of course, now we're heading towards springtime. So if somebody would want to be part of the committee or find out information, would the best thing be for anyone listening or who's going to be watching in the days to come to call 311?
Absolutely. We will also be having, tree plantings for Arbor Day around town.
Tell us about that.
To learn about those, or like you said, Clark Gardens is such a beautiful place to visit, and there might be special events going on there as well.
So what is, are we like designated a Tree City USA, or what is that kind of all about?
Yes, we are. We've been a Tree City USA for many, many years. We allocate a certain amount of our budget to tree plantings and tree maintenance. We have a tree advisory committee. We just pay attention to our tree canopy for future generations.
Well, that's really good. And I know that you had mentioned a little bit about the sustainability, the composters and rain barrels, which is it's just so fascinating. I mean, rain barrels, can you just tell us a little bit about that and where we have them in the town?
So sure. So we do have home sustainability workshops throughout the month of March. We do have one workshop remaining. It's Creating Rain Gardens, Wednesday, March 29th at 6:30. You can discover how to install gardens that reduce stormwater pollution and flooding, recharge and purify our drinking water, and provide food and habitat for wildlife.
Oh, wow.
We have a wonderful sustainability expert in our planning department at the Town of North Hempstead, and she does amazing things on native plant gardening and sustainable yard care.
So that's Wednesday, Creating Rain Gardens, Wednesday, March 29th at 6:30. Do people have to call 311 to register?
Yes, they should.
Okay, so if you're interested in this or any of the programs that Councilwoman Lurvey is talking about, you can always reach out to her. Also, our website, which is wonderful and informed. We do have to go to break now, and then we're going to come back with Talk of the Town. Thank you so much, Councilwoman Lurvey, for joining us today with all the great things you're doing for our residents and all the information you provided us today. I know you'll be back another time with us. So you're listening to Project Independence in You on Community Talk Radio, 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We'll be right back.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
Welcome back to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller along with Kristina Liu and Otto Loest. We just had a nice segment with our Councilwoman Veronica Lurvey talking about just sustainability and rain barrels and composting and like smart shopping and planning and she had mentioned, one of the things she mentioned just kind of rang home because I remembered right as COVID was kind of ending. The most part, people were starting to go out food shopping. I was food shopping each week for my mother, my uncle, and of course my kids were home because Luke was home from school because they were doing it remotely. And then all of a sudden, like almost in the same kind of week, in kind of late August, early September, maybe of last year, my older son had moved out, was living in the city, and my younger son was back at school, and my mother and my uncle were doing their own food shopping, whether they were ordering in or going back out, And for the first time, I think in my entire life since I was maybe a kid, I food shopped for just myself. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I would go into produce, like I had my mother's basket, my uncle's basket, I had the big basket, I would buy her broccoli, him cauliflower, me what the kids want, this. And I'm like there, and I'm like, wait, what am I really going to eat? So, I understood what, Veronica was saying about her mom, like still continuing, because that was my first desire was, oh, let me get this and get that. And I'm like, wait, I don't eat that. And it's just going to be for me. So it is kind of an adjustment.
It's a major adjustment. Yeah, totally.
To shop for yourself. For the first time, shop for yourself and not planning it. And I think I walked out of there maybe with like $20 worth of stuff because I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to cook for myself at this point.
The sizes of packaging and all the other stuff are not geared to like one or two people. They're, you buy, everything is big, you go to,
well, that's why I like the idea of the food, repurposing stuff, because it's something that I have to say I really became more aware of because of COVID. And, you weren't ordering out, you weren't trying to go out that much. So you were trying to really make the most of everything you had and not get rid of stuff. Like it really became I didn't pay. Listen, I was the queen of throwing out everything, I'd be like, oh, well, I meant to cook this and I never got around to it. But during COVID, I was so hyper aware because, you were really like, all right, let's make, this stretch. And I really have carried that into, myself now. And I'm always
great.
And I always open the fridge. I'm like, all right, so I use, I had bought this big bag of spinach, just the other day. And I was like, I was using it. It was like, it was like the biggest bag ever. It just lasted me. But I was like, I'm determined to, really just get through this in the next couple of days, because I think we've all been there. Like once you open, a bag or forget it. It's like just donezo. So it's something that I think is important. And I have to say North Hempstead, when I was just sitting here listening, really, tries to think outside the box and do different things and show education and with all this stuff. I mean, I was thinking in my head, I wonder what kind of green initiative they'll have this year with ticks we had the bats, we had the goats, we had the quails, there's all different kinds of, natural ways to help out, with issues.
I want to ask you a question, Kristina. So because you had mentioned that you kind of carried over one of your good habits, which was kind of using all the food. Because I know before COVID, it's like before and after, we would order in Greek food once a week. I would think nothing about going out to eat or that kind of a thing, getting deliveries. And then of course, during COVID, two reasons we cooked at home because we weren't going out and we weren't ordering in. And, the other reason is you did not want to go to the supermarket that much. You wanted to stay out. So you kind of did things differently. Have you, since you've carried that habit over, were you guys did you cook every night or did you guys?
So I get in, I have to, I have waves,
right.
So that, and in more recent times I've been cooking because, my mom's been having some health stuff and my dad, so I've been kind of cooking for the whole family again, which, I really was doing during COVID and stuff. So, and also listen, at the end of the day, I love takeout. I love delivery. I love going out to dinner. I'll forever love it all, but it's very expensive, right?
Right.
Because on top of ordering all, I laugh with my husband, it's like, all right, so you order this stuff. You're like, all right, the bill's not that crazy, but then you gotta, sometimes there's a delivery fee. Then there's the tip, then there's that. And you're like, whoa, what just happened to this order? This is crazy, So it's really something. And I try to, because all these topics kind of go together that we had today, because, every time I go to the supermarket, I really try to have a list and have it planned out, everything I need, because I can't just go rogue in the supermarket and just, end up it's just to go with a goal and a purpose. So this way you're not, because the times that I don't have a list written down, I'll buy all kinds of stuff. I'll come
and don't go hungry when you don't have that list.
Please. And it's and then you're really you end up with stuff that you didn't necessarily need that can go to waste, So I really think that going in, with a plan, especially if you have certain dietary restrictions or whatever it might be, it's so important because as you said, Beck, it's very easy to get sidetracked by the package.
Right.
I'm the queen of oh, that looks fun. What does that claim?
Well, they count on impulse buying.
Yeah.
places. Or,
Right.
and my bride and I go down different paths as
Bless
some of
you.
this goes.
Thank you.
I'm one that, just like you described, you have a list, don't even look at anything else.
Of course, you
Yeah.
have a list.
And the other part of it, frankly, is just because it's on sale doesn't mean you should buy it.
That's such a wonderful
Do
point,
you
Otto,
need it?
because I have fallen victim to
What do
that.
you mean by that?
But, I mean, obviously it's great if it's something that, you'll use, like I love chickpea pasta, right? So that's like my thing. I love it. I think it tastes better than regular pasta. And it's one of those things that make you feel a little better, about eating pasta. So I love when like that is, and like that's something that'll last a long time. So that's one thing to get on sale, but I have fallen prey to, if you buy 2, you get 1 free, or something. And you're like, okay, let me get this. And then I'm like, what am I going to do with all these, milks or something, whatever it might be. But I really think that the plan, because Otto, I was laughing because my husband always says, how come like I'll go grocery shopping with you. You shouldn't have to do it all yourself.
Yeah.
I'll help you out. And I said, no, like it's frankly, I'd rather go by myself. I have my plan. I know where things are. I could like shoot through. It's very efficient. My husband comes, like we'll end up with all kinds of random things, that he'll be like, oh, well, we need this. We should stock up on this, because that's, speaking of COVID, that's something that, is still in me a little bit, right? Is like this fear of not having like stuff that you might need. Mm-hmm. So it's like, all right, like maybe I should pick this up and have extra, but I've worked out a system now that like it's more efficient, because the amount of stuff that we had stockpiled was just like, it made you feel like you just wanted to, the world was closing in on you. So it's like, I can't have too much stuff. I don't live in a gigantic house. So I try to really maximize the different things that I have. But it is important. And I know that there is different things that you can like donate to when something looks like it's like, not that it's expired, but there's certain things I know that I remember we had like a food pantry on that was actually talking about certain
right.
Still would accept. And now there's all kinds of cool things. I always see the commercials for, these different products you can buy. Like, so if it's like a fruit or vegetable that the shape might be irregular or something, like there's nothing wrong with it, but like, so I think we're coming to a place where people are getting a little more conscious.
A little more aware. What about you, Otto? And what about you and Bunny? Did you carry over any of the, I want to say, more positive habits in terms of food and food prep versus maybe going out to eat before, or did you, and where you're at today?
Yeah, I would say we went out to eat quite often before. We still go out, but not anywhere near as often. Takeout, I'm like takeout.
Yeah.
You get stuff that you don't cook at home.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to cook Chinese food of certain kinds. But what's interesting is like yesterday is a good example. I ordered, our daughter, her husband, and granddaughter were over for dinner. All right. Well, what was dinner? Dinner was I ordered 2 pizzas and a pizza salad and a dessert thing that they had, and it was like $105. And I'm saying, a $15 tip, but they charge $1.50 for delivery, tax, and the next thing you know, you're up to the roof.
Yeah.
And I'm still making what I made in 2003 when I retired. So, and then another example is we went out the other day for 2 hamburgers, a glass of wine each, and it turns out it's like $70 for 2 hamburgers.
I
By
know.
the time they get through with the tip, the tax,
it adds up. I'm so with you.
The credit card fee now.
Yeah.
Credit card fee.
Between like $16 and $17 wherever you go. The wine is like $11, so it doesn't take much.
Well,
like,
it's also, I was like thinking,
okay.
I love, like, obviously an app is so convenient, right? So there's a lot of food delivery apps,
Cool, convenient, right?
We all know like the thing, and it's great to have it all in one place, but I can't get past the fees that are involved. And, like if I called the restaurant or picked up from the restaurant, it would be like significantly less expensive than if I ordered from this one particular app. So, and like the prices are higher to begin with, because I'm looking at this, like it was one day there was something going on. So I was looking at my mom and, like I was like, that could not be the cost of, it was like an omelet or something. And I was like, that makes no logical sense. So then I look at, and so then I call, and it was, so you have to be aware of that. Listen, I'm also not going to sit here and say that I don't fall victim to it at sometimes, that it's just easier and it's a more systematic thing. So, and if you have the ability to do that, great. But I think it is important to be aware of these things, because there are little, tips and tricks that you're able to do, because there's sometimes I always say to my husband, I'm like, I'll have it in my head, like, I'm going to cook, 5 times this week, I'll start like the week off, like, really inspired.
This is not related, but it's kind of related. But Kristina, you had talked about all these little fees. So last week I went out with some friends and we all met at my house and took an Uber out just in case we were going to have a drink, it's just more convenient. So it was maybe Saturday around 7. And we take an Uber and we go to this place and have dinner, and we're there a couple of hours, and then there was someone playing music. So by the time we got done with dinner and ready to like go home, forget about what our bill was. That's not even what I'm talking about. It was outrageous. But we called the Uber to come home. It was $25 more to come home.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was before midnight. Like we were home by 11. $25 more. You have all these fees. I'm not going to say if it was Uber or Lyft or one of those things, but it was one of those kinds of things. It was $25 more. And that didn't include the tip, which of course is a lot more. It's $25% over the $25 more. So it was just, it's oh my goodness.
It's something just to be aware of, like, and as I said before, if you were able to once in a while, absolutely, go for it, whatever is easier for your situation,
Well, tipping, by the way, is a new item that in a lot of areas, like you said, takeout, all right? You go to the place for takeout, and you typically, and for the most part in my lifetime, you didn't tip.
If you pick up, right? Yeah.
Now there's a big thing there. Tipping, all right. So you're supposed to give a 15% tip for takeout, and I'm a little bit like, I don't know about this whole thing now. And there's a lot of other areas where all of a sudden, like Starbucks or pick any of them. There's a space for a tip. When you're going up to the counter, picking up your own food. That's a topic by itself, frankly.
It is. It's a hot topic. And
that's a good topic.
It's over, and I was obviously, listen, as we all know, everything is more expensive, right? So for like everything in our world, whether it's the food that you normally would order is now more expensive, the gas is more expensive, so Jay and I, we like tip even more than in the past we would have, because we feel bad that, for all these different factors, so it's really complicated. But Otto, I'm with you with the takeout, because I'm like, I got takeout so to avoid having to pay all this extra stuff.
Right. You pick it up. Right.
Do you tip on takeout?
I usually do not. Unlike if I'm doing like a curbside pickup or something,
then you give a couple.
Right. But no, like I'm picking it up and I don't understand otherwise. But
Otto, you brought up a really good point, and I think that there might be a show or a partial show. So when you were talking about the tips, it plays on you, it's of like, course. Well, you got the guy at the door and you can give them the credit card. They put it on their phone or their little device. And then it's like,
it's so true.
It's like, do I give 15? Do I give 20? The guy standing here, usually what I'll do is I'll just say no tip and hand them a 5 or a 10 or whatever,
absolutely,
whatever it is. Yeah. But it puts a lot of pressure on you as a consumer, like the right thing to do. Yeah. And then, there's that. There's also what happened the other night to us. Like, be aware that, your one-way ride is only that. You're coming home could be a lot more.
Yeah, the rates all fluctuate, and forget about if you're going out on like a holiday or anything. I mean, the drastic amount that those rates can fluctuate.
Right. And really, the thing is, you're dealing, and this is the one thing you were saying, Kristina, is you're dealing with an app for the most part. Even the cash register is an app. You just, the tip, when you order a car to come, it's an app. So you're looking at this app and it's like, oh, if I don't give this driver, 5 stars, I'm going to get 4.
I have a golden nugget little rule of thumb, because this actually happened it's happened to me many times, but it happened yesterday. I went out which I have to mention after this too, the fun little outing that I think everyone should do. So I did yesterday after work, my mom and Jay, we went to Hicks Nursery to the flower show, which I'll talk about after. And then we went and we got some Greek food. So we're like, all right, cool. Like, let's stop and get. And so it was a lovely day. We get the food, we get the bill. And then on like the bottom in like little print, it says there's a 3%, difference for cash. Right. So I'm looking at this and like the only reason I knew to say something is because in the past I didn't realize it. So the price that was on this receipt was the credit card price. So it wasn't even putting the cash price, so I went up to a lady who's lovely, who I know. And I said, hey, is this the credit card price or the cash price? She said, no, that's the credit card price. Let me readjust the bill, but I was like
Sneaky.
2 seconds away from here. Oh, here's the money. All right, cool. Thank you. I'm out. But if I didn't ask that question, so I think it's just important. Pay attention, a little golden nugget.
The credit card price with cash.
Right. All right, we actually have to take a quick break. You're listening to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. And we will return with Kristina Liu and Otto Los in the final talk of the town segment. We will be right back.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
And welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Kristina Liu and Otto Los and Dan Cox. And we're just going to go right to Kristina to find out what is going on in the town. I know you said over break there's so much to get to.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, which is great. I wanted to do a quick little plug for which I mentioned in the previous segment, that I went with my mom and Jay to Hicks Nursery, which I don't know if anyone's familiar with. It's very close to the town of North Hempstead. You cross over and you're right there. I don't think that's actually considered town, right, Beck? I think that's probably Town Oyster Bay over there, but neither here nor there. It's very local and it's so beautiful. Listen, I am always there with my husband because luckily he's, a fabulous landscape designer. But he said, hey, like there's a free show and it's the flower art show. And it was so amazing because there's these designers that set up inside in the greenhouse. So it's huge, like all different vignettes. So there'll be one was like an outer space kind of theme. And they had air. I'm a big fan of air plants because there's like no maintenance and they look kind of funky. And, they just thrive on like the moisture and dust in the air, which it was great.
That's great.
They're so cool. I have them in my bathroom, I have my living room. So that was one scene. Then they had like a children's stories scene. They had a romance scene. They had like a whodunit scene, and they incorporate all these beautiful flowers but it's really absolutely beautiful. We always say we're going to go every year, but it was, I highly recommend people go. Until March 26th, you're able to go. It's during the week, and go during the week if you can, because it was so quiet. It was so lovely. And it was so cute. There was this senior that I had met, and he was there with his dog, and he was talking to me and my mom, and he says he comes there every week and sees the different things blooming. And it was so relaxing, I have to say. So if you were in, nearby and you're looking for something, and it's fun for the kids too, they had an Alice in Wonderland theme. They had a Willy Wonka theme that even had like, they made it look like chocolate was coming out of the waterfall. So it's really a super fun thing to do. So I just think that's just, and it's free, right? So we're always looking for kind of fun stuff to do over there and then we walked away with some stuff because my husband is putting in a Japanese Zen garden in our backyard. So that's his latest project that's coming up. So it was just a nice thing, right? So we're trying to think of fun things to do for spring. The sun was shining yesterday, so it was lovely. So definitely check that out. You have until March 26th and it's free. But on another note, doing the show is so great because I'm constantly being sent stuff from all different people. And there's a lot of great things going on. There is, obviously some of us probably have did our taxes already. Some are still in the process, but there's free tax return help. You can, for volunteer income tax assistance program, you can go to the irs.gov/VITA or call 800-906-9887. There's different languages as well. I believe there's 8 different languages on there that you're able to do. You can find locations of programs arranged by the Bethpage Federal Credit Union is a partner in this program. AARP has some tax aid programs, because I think it's hard, right? It can be expensive. I think, depending on what you're using, we could all vouch for that. The tax preparation, depending on how, in depth your situation is, can get very pricey. And I always think I power to the people that do it all by themselves. That is not myself. And it's just great that there's all these different like volunteer tax organizations. So someone had sent me that and told me to promote it. And if you need more information about that, absolutely call 311 or 516-869-6311. Also tomorrow is our favorite around here is the STOP program. It is, let me get my paper and then I could read you these specifics. I have too many things here. But it's going to be at North Hempstead Beach Park. So definitely, Otto, will you be attending this STOP program this go around?
Yes. See?
Oh, there he's got it. So March 18th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
I'm all
Otto,
ready for it.
what are you donating, Otto?
It's not really donating. I have a bunch of old, like I got an old tablet,
Okay.
an old TV screen type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Toner for a printer. Is toner for a printer included in, like it's talking about household chemicals, fertilizers, whatever. I'm going to
So
bring
is it like empty toner? Or is it used
empty.
toner?
These are cartridges that's an HP printer that are empty.
Well, let me tell you what you should do, because I
Bring
do
them
this.
back to the store.
I bring
Yeah.
it to Staples and I get a voucher, after I bring a certain amount. And then when I need to buy new ink, it's great because now I've had like $10 off, $20 off. So that's and I put them in a little bag, so as I go through them. So then this way, if I'm in the area ever, and you could return the Staples that I go to, it was like 10 at a time or something that you're able to bring back. So I always do that because they recycle it over there and whatnot, and you get cash for it. So that's always my go-to.
Well, yeah, you don't really get cash. You get
Well, I mean, like you get like cash towards buying something. You get like rewards points.
Right.
Yeah. So that I really think everyone should go. Otto, are you shredding papers?
I am shredding papers. I
Yeah,
got
sure. That's
big
what I like.
box.
Cool. I was thinking of
I do the shredding box during the year.
yes.
And even if it's questionable,
Mhm.
like if I don't look at it and analyze it, but I think there's like a social security number or for any kind of identification.
Yeah.
I just dump it in the shredding box,
Mhm.
and I'm going to bring that tomorrow.
Cool. Well, that's great. I love to hear that.
I like that,
And I encourage everyone to do it. I am fully in spring cleaning mode. Every day I kind of have like a new little task that I'm either trying to declutter or organize. So Otto, I'm on this journey with you. It's something
You're an amazing one to me because I see all your little Facebook parties and things that you do,
Mhm.
and you have to have a system to keep track of all this stuff.
I do. I have a lot of notes, a lot of lists, a lot of labeling, and it's an
And space.
ongoing thing. It's just an
Mhm.
ongoing cycle. It's never ends. I'm
You
constantly
need a
like,
barcode. I said this before, but you need a barcode system.
I would love nothing more.
Sell barcode system.
I could just imagine it. It just
Corporations, but you
sounds so beautiful. But yes, it's springtime, as anyone was here, Beck had said, next week we kick into spring. So do these little spring cleaning. It really makes you feel good. It's one of my personal stress relievers. And my friends laugh at me because they're like, only you. I said, it's just something about the throwing out, the decluttering,
Yep.
it just makes you feel better. I got rid of like all these all these clothes I donate, and it's great. I use Big Brother, Big Sister Long Island, a shout out to them. And I schedule my appointment. I put the stuff right out front of my house. I put a sign, they come, they pick it up. And you can donate all kinds of things to them. And it's great because this way you don't even, if you can't get out of the house, that's a great alternative.
Mhm.
And there's so many organizations that, you can donate to do that. But that's my spiel on organizing. I'm glad you're taking advantage of the stop program because it is a big favorite over here as well.
Well, clothing is an interesting one because I'm a shirt type guy. You know, I got a lot of shirts and T-shirts and golf shirts and shirts coming. You know, that's part of an addiction, really, because I look at a shirt, I say, "Yes, a nice shirt." So I buy the shirt, and then I got another shirt.
I
but
get it.
Throw a shirt out, but I am pretty good at dumping shirts that I haven't worn for a while.
Yeah, I'm like not. I collect. Listen, I have so many T-shirts from over the years, and the amount of concert T-shirts I have are excessive. So like being, you know, and that's the running joke. And my friends are always like, "Oh, there's Kristina on the merch line," because that's like it's in my blood. I'm never getting rid of it. You know, I have to always walk away with like some kind of memorabilia. But you know, they're really, and I have to say I make use out of a lot of them. They're like my go-to, but. You know, some of them are, you know, might not fit or something. So there's so many cool things you can do now. I even like looked online. You could like make like a blanket, you know, with all the different things and whatnot, because it's something that I struggle with because I have like an emotional attachment to these, you know, items. I've gotten better, you know, myself with getting rid of certain things because I just come to a place where like, I just can't have too much stuff because it just makes me go a little cuckoo. But it's a process. So
Well,
I sympathize with it.
I'm like that. I actually feel good when I dump stuff.
Yeah.
Especially stuff that I haven't really used.
Yeah.
You know, what's the point? I may use it someday. Maybe the theory there is if you're going to use it someday, like 10 years from now, buy it.
Yeah.
Right.
No, but that's you know, and I always picked up on that from our radio show and having, you know, these topics on because, you know, she would always say there, you know, Barbara Feldman, who's our go-to organizer, you know, if you could replace it for under $20, you know, just junk it, you know, and it's something that I struggle with because I'm like, oh, you know, I can't listen. And the problem is I do whip out something and reuse it. So I am pretty good at, you know, making something out of, you know, random things. So I struggle. That's always my argument. But it really does make you feel good. I have to say, it just to have things clear, you know, and I've been trying to do that for my parents too, just have things, you know, organized because I feel like it puts you in a different headspace, especially as you get older. It's easier to find things. It's not so overwhelming. You know, I mean, I think we all have had a drawer or a closet that you open and everything comes like, you know, flying out at you, or the drawer you can barely open and you're trying to find, you know, stuff. So it's
that's where people are different. All right. You can't make somebody be that if they're not.
Yeah,
you know,
you
no matter how hard you try.
That's right. You can't.
You can't.
But for all you out there that are looking for, you know, something to get your headspace right, it certainly helps. But on another note, I was also sent something that I need to promote from Northwell Health on March 28th and 29th at 420 Lakeville Road in New Hyde Park. There's going to be a colon cancer prevention fair. It's really something that is super important. You know, there's people that, you know, might not realize you know, they recommend screenings for anyone 45 years or older. You know, and this is something that can be prevented, you know, if you have these appropriate screenings. So I really want to encourage people to check it out. There's a lot of different organizations. Northwell said, please promote this. So there's the, you know, social work services. There's the Katz Institute for Women's Health, which will actually be on our show next week. We have them on talking about kind of lifestyle medicine. So it really has a lot of great resources, and I encourage people to, you know, find out these things.
That's a topic, by the way. Colon cancer is not restricted to people under 50.
No, because I mean, look at the age. Like they lowered it to 45 as a recommended screening.
And lower, but people get it lower than that.
Yeah.
So I have a problem with the fact that they put an age on it. It's just like prostate cancer, frankly. Younger people do get prostate cancer. You know, there's no guarantee just because you're in a certain age bracket. But
I think like, you know, everyone needs to pay attention to genetics and talk to your doctor, you know, about these different things because everyone's there's different factors, you know.
Very good point is the genetics part. Like I've told my son, look, I had prostate cancer. You should get a PSA test and get a baseline and at least know where you stand, no matter what they say. You know.
Yeah. So listen, there's great resources, and especially our partner Northwell has a lot of great stuff. I also wanted to tell people, where is this? The affordability, we had mentioned this, and I'm trying to schedule them for, speaking of the FCC we were talking about. The Affordable Connectivity Program is an FCC program that helps connect families and households struggling to afford internet service. I'm really trying to get them on because I think it's a great program. There's a lot of different benefits mixed in. You know, it's up to $30 a month, you know, for internet service, up to $75 a month discount for households on qualifying different areas. So there's a lot of different steps. So I want to have people on there because, you know, when I review surveys that we get at Project Independence, you know, I always like to look at that section, you know, a bit, do you have access to the internet? Do you have a computer? Do you have email? Do you have internet? You know, whatever it might be. And there's, over the years, you've certainly seen, you know, more people checking off that they have, you know, internet service where they might not have a computer, but they'll have, you know, the internet. But then there's a lot that don't, you know, and I think that it's something certainly that we need to think about. And you know, during COVID, that was certainly an obstacle for some people that, you know, everything was virtual, but they didn't have internet to be able to use that. So it's something that I think is important. I want to learn more about and spread the word. So
that would be a great show to have if we ever could get a neutral person to discuss streaming, Optimum, Verizon.
That's like the Wizard of Oz, because that really is something that. You know, and speaking of that, Otto, I'm glad you brought that up because I had, you know, we've talked about this many a times, but, you know, it's back to, you know, just how important it is to pay attention to all of your bill information, because it's certainly something that there could be changes in, and, you know, if you're not paying attention at all times, all of a sudden 1 month, it's like, what just happened here? So that's just a little hot take.
That's the disadvantage of electronic auto pay.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
And saying, okay, don't send me a statement.
Yeah.
Which I do with all of them.
I know.
And then you got to take the time. You didn't get a statement. All of a sudden, your cell phone bill went from 120 to 140.
Yeah.
Well, why did that happen?
No, absolutely. No, it's important. And I think I always encourage people to, you know, just pay attention, whatever it might be. And speaking of paying attention, we have coming up, and they're filling up really quick. So I want people to make sure they register. On Wednesday, March 22nd and Friday, April 28th are the brown bag checks on your medications. Speaking of keeping track of stuff, it is certainly the medications. We have our partners with St. John's Pharmacy will be there with all their pharmacists. They ask you to bring all of your prescription and non-prescription medications in a bag. A pharmacist will sit with you one-on-one, go over everything, and help answer any questions you have. And I just think it's so wonderful that the town has this, you know, through PI, because, you know, there's so many changes to medication, so many things you might not understand, and different interactions, whatever it might be. So that's Wednesday, March 22nd, 1 to 3 p.m. Manhasset Library, and Friday, April 28th at the North Hempstead Yes We Can Community Center in Westbury at 12:30. So please secure your spot. Call 311 or 516-869-6311 for that information, because it's great. So definitely check that out. We have all of our support groups, our social groups are still up and running. We have our men's group, our social discussion group. We have 2 different bingo groups. We have one at Roslyn Community Center that's, you know, blood pressure screenings and bingo. And then we have it Yes We Can. We have the same kind of program with our nurse and social worker. So there's so many innovative stuff coming out. We're in the process of finalizing. Northwell is going to be providing a Heart Smart program that we've had a lot of success with in the past as well. So just so many wonderful things. Our next advisory committee meeting will be April 19th. We're going to have a speaker that we've had on the radio before, Eileen Karina from the Pulse Center, and she'll talk about advocacy, which is really great. So please, I encourage people, if you want to come virtually, you want to come in person, it's at Clinton G. Martin Park at 10 a.m. on April 19th, because it's certainly the best place to gather information. And we get, you know, after each meeting, you know, I write the ideas that might have come up, and it gears us towards programming as well. So it's certainly something great. So check that out. As well, of course, you can call 311-516-869-6311 for any of the information that I missed today, because there are constantly new events and programs coming out every single day. So anything we talked about today, we've had such so much town information. It's like, between all the different green initiatives that you can sign up for, there's such great classes at Clark Botanic Garden. And I always love to think of these things, while spring, is coming to get involved with and to get outdoors, because it's certainly very therapeutic, as for all of us. So that is that. I'm excited. Today is St. Patrick's Day for us. We're going to hope everyone celebrates. I'm going to do some bangers and mash tonight, I think, guys.
All right, so we're all heading over to Kristina's tonight, huh? For some bangers and
Watch
mash.
around the block.
Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful, safe St. Patrick's Day. Enjoy the weekend. You've been listening to Project Independence in You Community Talk Radio. Great show with KICU and, of course, Councilwoman Veronica Lurvey. A lot of great information. Thanks, Otto, Kristina, Dan. We'll be back next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.